Hello and welcome to Topsin. My name is William Lebowski. I know what you're thinking automatically. This isn't sim racing. Before you click away, I think you're really in for a treat on this video. I think this is not just a solid experience, I think it's a solid video. And not only that, I am a little bit in a break of sim racing. I think it's, healthy. And of course, if you're actually doing racing, you need a bit of an off-season time to avoid burnout. And I've really been going on sim racing pretty hard and not having had even a small break since right before Christmas in December, and I felt like it would be a good time to shake things up. And I've also been spending a lot more time in flight sim than in the racing sim, so I wanted to share some awesome flight sim experience I had with you in this video. This is definitely a bit of a long video, so use the timestamps and jump around if you need to. And besides that, if you enjoy this flight sim or general sim-based non-racing kind of content, check out the link below in the description. I have a whole channel for that now. But I hope you enjoyed the video. I definitely enjoyed this flight. We'll see you in the next one.
Alright, so automatically we have our navlog and our VFR map on, and first things first, our VFR map is very nice and cool and nifty. However, we have an even niftier one behind it, so let's remove that from the HUD. And then also it's good to know that it looks like this is going to take us about 41 minutes. However, we do not have to fly with our headings and times because of our nifty little GPS little VFR map in front of us, and given that this is a really more of an exploratory fun trip, I don't mind having that be the case and taking full advantage of that. And also, if we look at our navlog here, it's a pretty simple 3-step navlog, and it's going to be a pretty great flight. If you're familiar with the islands, we're going to take off from Oahu, we're going to fly over Molokai, and we're going to land on Maui. This is actually pretty exciting because I used to live on Maui. So I've been to these places, Lanai and Molokai, and, well, of course, Oahu, but I've never been to this airport. So let's just, we can go ahead and close this because, again, we could just go ahead and look at our map. Let's just take a little bit of a look around here before we take off. It was a really pretty approach, as you can see behind us, just straight water, especially over those mountains. I've driven along this part of Oahu before in the car trip around, and it is just stunning. It is more mountainous than more sheer cliff face than what we were used to in Maui. But we'll see Maui pretty soon. So let's go ahead and take off here. Let's remove the parking brake. Bring that throttle up. Uh-oh. There we go. I must have hit my reverse thrust. Oh, looks like our parking brake was already off. Alright, there we go. Moving forward now. We just went straight full throttle. I never, when I first started playing Microsoft Flight Simulator, I really preferred the 152 over the 172. But now that I've spent a little bit more time in the 172 during this specific first leg, really came to enjoy it. But let's see, we're off the ground now, so let's bring our flaps up. No landing gear to pull up on. Let's just get over the water, get some elevation as well. Alright, once we get to about 500 feet, which we're pretty much at, let's go ahead and make our turn. And you can see our handy dandy Garmin screen there is just showing us where we're at and pointing us in the right direction. Not all planes have that. Really nice. It's kind of the perfect plane for this specific activity, just because this one's all about sightseeing and you don't want to necessarily worry about looking at the nav log and dealing with times and making sure you're on the right heading at all times. And so it's really awesome to have the lazy man's navlog running for me. Sorry, throat's getting a little dry. I'm gonna have to take a drink here. let's take a better look at these mountains before we start heading away from them. You can kind of see the roadways underneath them, right at the base of them, so you can see how close you do get to them and how that feeling you might have being that close to that mountain range and the sheer cliff face that they are, and the waterfalls, and depending on the seasons that you go, that exist through there are quite amazing, just because of, like we said 1,000 times now, it's just a bunch of cliffs. So when it rains a lot in those mountains and in those regions, just because of the weather patterns, it rains all the time. Not very frequently, but at least a couple times a day for, there's rain going. And because of that, waterfalls everywhere, so it's just an incredible drive. Let's see, we're heading out to open ocean. I think we are off our heading, but just taking one final look at Oahu before we take our heading over towards Maui and over Molokai. All right, there we go. Whoop. Make our turn as we head into the clouds. I think the navlog, what elevation does the navlog have us going up to at this point? I think because they specifically mentioned it. 7,500. Yeah, so we can go up to 7,500 feet. And then it looks like we're going above the clouds then. So after we get up to that point, I'll cut back on the engines a little bit. But we are low, so we got to get ourselves up in the sky by a few thousand feet. And I knew I was supposed to get, I thought it was going to be like 4, maybe 5,000 feet, but I didn't realize it was 7,000 feet. So let's get ourselves up there. Oh, we're going pretty slow, so let's level that off a little bit. Let's make it a little bit more steady. No rush. This isn't a race. Let's keep it closer to 5, get our speed back up. 5 degrees is a little much safer there. Alright, getting right back on our heading. As you can see, getting parallel now with the end of Oahu. This is a pretty awesome flight. I've done this flight before as a passenger. I mean, not as an aviator, but I've done this flight as a passenger. It wasn't in a Cessna 152. I think it would have been, if anything, in something closer to like a Cessna 208. It was a commercial little passenger, jet, not a jet, prop plane. Similar to this one. Although it might have been two engines. Probably was, since we're flying over water like this. But anyway, so it's a similar experience, a similar flight like this, and it was really fun. It was a really small plane, though. I think there were only 8 of us total, and so it was cool. Everybody, getting weighed before getting in the plane too. It was really funny. Some people were really freaking out. They weren't really comfortable with that, and of course, some women were really uncomfortable with that. And but anyway. So it's a really awesome experience, and not only that, living on Maui, some days, and it doesn't necessarily look like today, like the one that we're flying in would be the day that it would happen, but some days we would just be at home, and it would be like a perfect day, clear out, and sometimes you need the right conditions for it. Because it could be very hazy in Hawaii, and depending on how the trade winds are blowing, it determines the cloud coverage that you have and how hazy it is where you're at. And so if it's very clear, especially between you and on usually a windy day, you can go up on top of the mountain. I guess it depends. We would just go up country on the volcano on Haleakala, and you could just drive up to Kula, and you could go out and pull off to the side of the road and see Oahu, and just be like, you could always see Molokai, Lanai, and Kahalui. So then you could just go look, and you could barely see it, and you could just see it off at the horizon, be like, there's Oahu right there. So it's just really cool to see that far away especially you're getting really high up at that point. So going from literally sea levels just to driving up a volcano and getting up, I think Kula might be around 5,000, 6,000 maybe. Yeah, it's not all the way up there for sure. I think it might only be around 5,000 feet. And I'm just guessing on that one. I don't know for sure. Speaking of 5,000 feet, we got to get ourselves up a little bit higher. We're dipping below 5 degrees. But anyway, so yeah, this flight is really cool. It brings back a lot of member berries for me, and I think this is a cool experience now as we're over the water now at this point. There's well, I guess I was gonna say there's no going back, but there's certainly going back. It would be much better to go back if you were to have a problem than to try to go forward. But yeah, it's cool. It's a cool flight because you are over the ocean, and that's just usually you have to fly really far in a big airliner to do this. So it's cool being in a little Cessna and being able to fly yourself over the ocean. We got to get ourselves up higher though. Let's take a better look from the skies. Yep. You can definitely still see. Ooh, I think I just went the wrong way in the correction since it's reversed. Whoops. Trying to fly in reverse, it's not working out very well. I can only keep us steady when I'm looking where we're going. Wow, and we went very off course trying to do that too. Okay. One last time, let's try it. Alright. I know I'm off course for this, but I just wanted to do that because I think that'll be the thumbnail. But this is just where it's all about it's about the journey, not about the destination on this one. So you don't have to. Speaking of that, as we approach Molokai here, when we arrive on Maui, I think I'm gonna bring us around Lahaina instead of coming through the way that the navlog brings us in, just straight over Molokai into Kahalui, because there's a lot to see on Maui, and there's a lot that I know to show you on Maui specifically, and Lahaina is a beautiful area. We can go down low on the beaches since we don't have any real-life restrictions, and check that out. I think that'll be a lot of fun, and then we can come back landing into the wind. Well, I guess we won't land on the, I don't think there'll be any traffic because, you know, it's just one of these scenarios, not necessarily the open world map at all. So we can land into the wind then on the big runway at Kahalui. I think that's a 3/4 mile runway, I believe. And yeah, it'll be fun. It'll add time for sure. Like if this is going to be a 40-minute flight plan, I think that'll probably give us into the hour range. But yeah, I think it'll be really worth it to check it out. But now it looks like we're approaching 7,000 feet, almost there. Don't want to level off quite yet because we're gaining pretty slowly. Let's double check our flaps. Yeah, flaps are good, so we just got to be patient. We got to be slow and steady. Let's not bring it over 10 degrees of ascent. Let's be a little bit more generous because we're already pretty close. We're getting a little slow. So now we've gotten over this top layer of clouds. Okay, 69,000 feet. Just 100 more to go. All right, we can level it off. There we go, 7,000 feet. We'll just trim as necessary up here. Looks like we're definitely gonna need some. All right, let's see what's happening when we let go. Looks like we start to fall, so let's pull it up one click, and that'll probably do it. It looks like it might be a little much. I don't know. Looks like we might have been in the perfect place anyway. So it looks like we're holding steady. But it looks like we're about to pop over Molokai. It looks like that is in sight. As we are now cruising over the clouds. Alright, it seems as though we have approached the tip of Molokai. This island really, if you think Maui is remote, or if you think the Big Island is remote, or if you think that any of the other islands are remote, I mean, some of the other islands do put up a pretty good fight, but Lanai and Molokai really are remote places, and to the point where being there, like the lifestyle is completely different than you would imagine, and not only that, they're literally like, if this is a place you couldn't move to, and I don't mean and by that I mean like there's no house for you, right? There is no property for you. It's all either uninhabitable, owned, or people, I mean, yeah, uninhabitable or owned. Like there's no other options other than what's there. So it's really interesting, a place, and it's really beautiful because it's left alone, and you're in the middle of the ocean, and you really feel it. When you're on Maui, it feels almost like you're in a city, and not like Oahu where you're literally in a city. Like Honolulu is one of the biggest cities in our country. So like when you're on Oahu, you know, you feel like you're in a bona fide city. But when you're in Maui, you know, you're not really. You're kind of in a smaller town. But compared to Molokai, you're definitely in a big city. So you can get a view. I mean, humans are resilient, and I do say uninhabitable, but even if you were to populate this specific little island with people, there wouldn't be enough stores or food to feed people. So it is just a place that's literally as big as it can be, and it's teeny tiny. So it's a really cool geographic place. You know, I think we should, before we make our turn, we might as well take a closer look. Let's go from coast to coast, huh? So high up at this point that if I want to get down low, I've got to like almost like we're descending for, I mean, we are descending, but almost like we're descending for landing. I've got to put down some flaps. You know what? We're not going to go quite over to the coast, but we are going to get nice and low, and we're probably going to get about halfway down. Let's just see how low and how fast and we can get. But we'll go over it close enough to get a nice close-up look at the terrain. And then we'll bring ourselves back over to Maui. Back over to the flight plan. Let's drop another layer of flaps so that we can slow ourselves down a bit, and I can push us down a little bit more aggressively. We're dropping like crazy now. There we go. Alright, so you can see there's a little road ahead of us. And one of the things that I did when I was in middle school at this time, and there's actually a little town here, I think even maybe a couple little houses, so you can get an idea of what kind of living here is like. But anyway, get an idea of what living here is like. Yeah, we'll fly over our Microsoft Flight Simulator and you'll have an idea of what living here is like. But it's like looking at Google Earth, right? Especially since this is Microsoft, or it's like, you know, using Bing or whatever. But it's like looking over at Google Earth or Google Maps, and then let's pull up on the flaps a little bit on one level, give it a little bit more engine as we get a little bit lower. But yeah, so it's like looking at Google Maps, right, and getting an idea just how small of an area, right? We're not going to really find too much out. But anyway, so I was in middle school, and you can see looking out in front of us into that red clay that some of these are just dirt roads, and you can see some of the real roads just lead into these dirt roads, and all the green that you're looking at was actually sugar cane, or in this case, a lot of it would just be wild growth, but even still sugar cane. But the trees and such would be the wild growth that does exist. So we're getting over that town now. So let's go take a look at it. And I think we can pull our flaps. Yeah, we still have one level down, so we can pull them up a little bit. So yeah, I was in middle school, and we went to check it out for Maui one weekend, and you can rent Jeeps and drive around, and the Jeeps are cool because you know, they require four-wheel drive to go off-road, and you can go off-road and check all these different places out. And that's exactly what we did. So you can see there was the town. That's the town. But anyway, so we would get off-road and get to the parts that are away from the towns. And at that point, I would get behind the wheel, and I was allowed to drive. And we would just drive around, and it was fun. I would drive off-road in this Jeep around, and so it was fun. It was a JK Jeep, and it was fun that when I was 16, I also then drove a Wrangler, so it was exciting. Bit of a full circle kind of thing for me. Cool moment. But anyway, let's get back our elevation here. And I think flight plan had us going a little bit more this way. Yeah, there we go. Let's meet up with it. There we go. In due time, we can get ourselves some elevation again. I think closer to 5,000 feet is probably going to be enough, as we are probably getting close enough to Maui where we wouldn't need to be so high. You know, I might be flying over a little airstrip right now. Yeah, I am. But I was actually curious. I was like, they must have an airport for cargo reasons at least. But when I went to Molokai, we arrived on a ferry. So I was curious about what that might look like. And then I was looking at the map and realizing that we might be passing over the airport at that moment in time. So it was cool to see that. If we were smart, we would have planned a little touch and go there. It's a little late now, as we are 4,000 feet over it, and we have already done our little exploration close to the ground over that little town. Our navlog still has us flying at 7,000 feet at this point. I guess we still do have that oversea bit between Molokai and Maui. Until we get to Maui, maybe it would be a good idea, but I don't know that I want to spend that time climbing, because as you can see, we're still over Molokai. It's been a while now. So I think we're going to get to 5,000 feet. I think I've decided on that. Once we get to 5,000 feet, I will level us off. And at that point, we can pick up a little bit of speed, because we're going pretty slow at this climb right now, as you can see. You know what? Did someone say 4,500 feet? Yeah. I think that'll be okay. Because we need to pick up a little bit of speed at this point. So let's start to level off a little bit. Pick up some speed. Take a look at Molokai. As we get into these clouds. Although I might just naturally allow us to lift like this. Going a little higher isn't so bad now that I'm stuck in the middle of these clouds a little bit, so maybe it's not such a bad idea to get above these clouds. Get closer to 7,000 feet. Aha, the cliffs here at Molokai. These cliffs really are something else. Sheer cliff face. In the wildlife that hangs out there, it's truly nature that happens there. Sometimes you see birds. There is actually the Molokini crater. Oh, we should fly over Molokini. Yeah, it is decided. Actually, you know what? Maybe that's something that happens on the way back. Maybe that's a way back adventure. Because we do, I believe we send ourselves over the other side of Maui. We have to. So yeah, that's going to be a way back adventure flying over Molokini. Hana. Okay, so Lanai and Molokini are going to be... maybe I should save Lahaina for... because it's on that side of the island. We'll see what happens as we get into sight with Maui, but it looks like I'm seeing land through the clouds potentially. It's hard to tell because of, you know, said clouds. No, but that's not even the land. The direction land would be, so that was not Maui. Let's see, double check. Did I pull those flaps up? Yes, I did. Guess as good as time as any to take a look at the mountains here. You can see sheer cliff face, those beautiful, lush Hawaiian mountains. It's crazy that they have such amazing topography over in Hawaii with the mountains and volcanoes. It really is like nothing else. Looks like a little bit of a thunderstorm outside of my window. I wonder if that thunder just made its way into the recording. You can see nothing but open ocean in California this way. It's okay, everybody. But yeah, just absolutely beautiful, stunning scenery. Really no place in the world like it. Oh yeah, that is Maui. Just clear as day. Let's get back. Yeah, you can definitely see it from our cockpit here. So instead of going directly to the airport, I do think we're gonna take us on the long approach still. Let's check out Lahaina. You know what? Let's instead of going over to Lahaina, this is our opportunity to explore Lorraine's little cove. So the story of Lorraine. So these mountains that we're looking at in front of us are the West Maui Mountains. And in this little area, it's a tough place to live because there's the areas where people can live are pretty small. So you're remote, you're far away. You're far away from stores. You're already remote living in Hawaii, but this is even more remote. It's remote on Maui as second most remote on Maui as it gets. We'll talk about Kaupo later. So Lorraine had this place over on these West Maui Mountains. We would travel the West Maui Mountains and explore them on bike and in a car. And doing it in a car a lot just because of how, you know, strenuous it is in a car, I mean on a bike, and how much climbing you have to do. So a lot of times doing this on a car trip and doing the whole loop of the West Maui Mountains is not that far of a distance, but it takes a very long time, and there's tons of cliffs and waterfalls, and you're driving sometimes in places where you're like, oh boy, don't fall off the road, oh boy, don't fall off the road. And in one of these little coves, there's this woman who's named Lorraine, and she has this little shop, and she sells this amazing toasted coconut banana bread. And we used to go there, and some of my fondest memories, whether it being the time that I completed the whole West Maui Mountains loop on my bike, and stopping there for some banana bread, or whether it be all the time with my parents going through, stopping by, getting treats, loading up on the toasted coconut, and eating all of it by the time we got home. So just some fantastic memories. And she was so nice. Ooh, hope that thunder didn't make its way into the mic, unless it's cool, and then I'm happy it did. But anyway, so she just so nice and so amazing, and such a great person, and she would always remember us too. And so she didn't have to. We're just these, you know, random white people. She didn't have to remember who we were, and it's not like we were there like weekly or anything. And because, you know, it's just a, you know, hard area to get, it's not like a trip you would make weekly, you know. And so she would remember us, and so it was really cool to have that experience, and to enjoy food that she made with her in her place. It was awesome. And so let's go check out that little cove. Maybe we can find it. It is made famous by Alligator Mountain. So if we can see Alligator Mountain, we will have known that we will have found the cove, and we will be facing the right direction to find Alligator Mountain. One thing to point out about Maui, it is such a varied place in terms of geography. So if we look to the left, we have what it's not necessarily depicted, but it is into the left all the way down to the coast. A little bit more steep, jagged mountains, and cliffs, and individual mountains, like these tiny, not quite like Thailand, but it does have lots of cliff faces all the way down to the water, and that's where the cove is. So that makes me a little nervous that we're not going to find Alligator Mountain. But then as you shift to the other side of the island, it gets a little bit more arid, a little bit more desert. Not desert isn't arid and desert are not the right terms, but you can see it's a little bit more red. It's a little dry, and that is because the way that the trade winds blow is the direction that we can see. So they blow from the I guess I'm trying to think of it. They blow. They blow west to east. Okay, I'm spending way too long on this. It's not directly west-east, but anyway, so they blow the direction that we can see, and the trade winds blow the humid air over those mountains. The mountains turn it into precipitation. The precipitation creates the rain in the mountains. It all falls into that area, and then it all breaks up by the time we get to it in that desert area. I keep referring to it. It's such an extreme way to refer to that dry area. So that area is more dry because it gets rain much less frequently. And so it creates this varied area. And of course, there's a volcano that is over 10,000 feet on the other side of these mountains, which also creates different geographical, interesting places. But as we get over to Maui here, it looks like there's a lot more houses that actually exist at this point. Maybe more generated than truly exists, at least by the time I lived there. But then I guess that was like 15 years ago. So let's cut the engines back. Let's drop some elevation. Let's get pretty close. Ooh. So the buildings to the right of our screen, the tall buildings that you're looking at, are Kanapali. And Lahaina is on the other side. I guess I will be exploring that later when we return from the Big Island to Kauai. We will explore Lahaina. We'll now cut our way left to the West Maui Mountains. Okay, so you can see you can see these mountains more carry themselves to the coast. You can see them now, how they're cut a little bit better. That's definitely a little bit better. So it's going to be possible to see Alligator Mountain, although a lot of these look like alligators. Although Lorraine's is definitely unique. So we'll do our best to see if we can find her little coast line. One thing I remember, so jutting out in front of us, not this bay closest to us, but the one that sticks out the very furthest of land. There's a road, if I recall, that goes right up and cuts that little ridge right over there. And on the bike, when you are going that direction, the trade winds blow around that corner, and it's the very steep road. We're talking like 15% for that little kick from the sea level up to the top of it as it cuts that little road. And so you're climbing and climbing and climbing with that 15% and dealing with it, and then all of a sudden you get hit in the face right at the top of the hill with those crazy winds. And it really is so demoralizing. So I think that is the exact corner. So we'll take a look at the road, see if it lines up with that theory of what I just said. The roads are pretty accurate, scarily accurate sometimes. Let's pick up a little bit of speed as we make our way over there. Because now we've gotten low, so we can return ourselves up to cruising speed. Also, we'd be passing the black sand beach over here at this point, so I wonder if that'll make its way. I think this little inlet we're looking at might also, if it's where I'm thinking, be the black sand beach. So let's try to get a good look at this. Whoop. There's white sands on that beach. But if that's the beach I'm thinking of, there is the road that would go by it. I think that is a black sand beach, if it is the place I'm thinking of. You can see the road there. You can kind of see cars cutting through it. So you can see how close to the coast you get as you're riding or driving. No, wait, is that Lorraine's Cove? That might have been Lorraine's Cove. Because it had that little inlet. That might have been where Lorraine... Okay. It looks like it's potentially... one other place. No, that was it. That was it. That's actually brings a smile to my face. Okay. No, that's not the button. Stuck here. Can't see anything. There we go. Okay, so we now have a nice view of Haleakala in front of us. Actually, hold up. Hold up. Lorraine, is that you? think I'm looking at her house. This must be it. Yep. This is it right here. This is her cove. Alligator Mountain. We're about to fly over it. So that's where the banana bread takes place. And if you look right here, you can kind of see it looks like an alligator. I mean, it's better in person, but we gotta get some elevation quick. That was a little dirty. But we cleared it. We cleared the land. All right, let's pick up some speed because we got a little close to stall speed there. That was a little dangerous. Getting pretty low there. We got very low. Like, only in Microsoft Flight Simulator can you get that low. And then, while we're here on this side, we're going to take a bit of look at Wailuku, because that is where I lived. But we can see Haleakala has made its way in front of us, over 10,000 feet. It really is a crazy landscape here in the valley in the middle. So let's take a quick look at where everybody lives, and then we will touch down in Kahalui, which is touching, right butting up next to, bordering up to Wailuku, and we'll call that a flight. Alright, so there you can see both Kahalui, which is more to the left, down into the harbor, which is where Kahalui is, and then you can see over onto the hill a little bit is Wailuku, and so there it is. That's all of the existence, and pretty much everything else you see is sugarcane. Down at the very far end, you have Kihei and Wailea, which is some of the most beautiful beaches that Hawaii has to offer. But let's take our flight over Wailuku and over next to the Iao Valley, and then we'll bring it down at Kahalui. Alright, you can see we're starting to get into some population centers now. Well, some towns, some subdivisions. Wow, that's actually, I think this is new. Because I know exactly where this is. That used to be a long straightaway that I used to dread on my bike because it's a false flat. And so I know exactly where that is. And I think a lot of those houses are new. And it's that last little bit right before being back in town. Okay, so here we are. Let's cut the speed so we can take a nice little sightsee. So this big gap that we're seeing to our right, just barely in screen on our right, is the Iao Valley. We'll get a nice look at that as we get closer, but it overlooks Wailuku and Kihei and the rest of the valley. And it's very beautiful. It gets very foggy the deeper you go into it, so it's very spooky vibes. It's very cool. But here is the main town, and you can see the irrigation actually that comes from Iao Valley as we're about to take a look at it next to the road there, so feeding some crops and I believe some people too. So here we are. Let's take a look at the Iao Valley before we have to make a hard turn. So there it is, into the Iao Valley. You can see the rivers. Okay, back into the mountains. And so, okay, so there's the main road up there. We've got a goal. I want to show you a house. This view is going to be easier for this, even though it's very unrealistic. And, you know, this is a sim channel. Okay. Swing it around now. Oh, let's not swing that far, because there it is. There we go. Those are the roads I needed to see. Okay, we're perfect. Facing right there. Okay. So, fun fact. I used to live right here we go. Okay. Right there. You just over. Maybe I could point. I know there. It's not going to do it for you. I will try to point on screen with an arrow. If I can go back into editing. But there we go. We just flew over where I used to live. This is the Iao School, just under our wing here. That's where I competed with other nerds on the island and beat their ass to be first chair trombone. So yeah, that's what I wanted to show you. That's what I selfishly detoured our flight plan for. Maybe with the magic of editing, I can cut out a lot of the boring stuff. Okay, but there is Baldwin High School. I burned my feet on that track that you can see over there. They told us that we can just go around with taped feet instead of shoes on a summer Hawaiian day. And so my feet and a bunch of other people's feet got burned. We had these big blisters on our feet for like weeks. Here we're flying over Kahalui Landing. That would look a little differently. It's a little bit more outdoor based. But anyway, there it is. That rectangular building is a church next to Kahalui Landing, if you can see it. I had a band concert there. In that harbor, there's usually a giant cruise ship parked because they usually have that rotation of cruise ships going, but we got to worry about our approach now. Let's see how far away are we? I think we're like right over the airport. Oh, we actually could have just landed perfectly at the smaller runway, but now we gotta come out and redo this. This is the highway that takes you from Kahalui over to Kihei. It is very windy. The winds fly in the direction. They go southerly. There we go. They do go north to south because they go in the direction that we are currently flying. So on the way to Kihei, which is the way we are facing, it is very windy. That island that you can see in front of us is Kahulawe. Molokai doesn't appear to even be visible, which is a big disappointment. So we're going to cut our throttles back a little over 50%. We're going to throw down our first layer of flaps. We're going to make our turn and go for approach. Let's keep this turn going until we can see the airport. And all this greenery is sugarcane. Oh, we're way off. Oh my. Okay. Let's not freak out too much. We're so off. There's a road that you can see that goes right in front that we're about to fly over. But then that's actually a highway. But then there's another road that's actually right at the beginning of the runway. And that's a public road. And on nights, on boring nights, when we had nothing else to do, sometimes we would drive on that road and park on the side of that road right underneath it and watch planes fly overhead. Used to really love that. But anyway, so here we are flying over that road, and those airliners would be right over that road because those big airliners that are coming from California need every inch of this runway. So they really actually get really close over this road, but we do not need to be near this close because we're in a teeny tiny little aircraft that will brake very easily. By brake, I mean slow down. So yeah, we really have all day here. We're lined up at this point. So yeah, we just used to watch those giant airliners come in and land on this runway, and they used to get so close. It was really cool. go. Bring it in. Oop, 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 oop. All right. Smoothed it out. And we were supposed to, I think, land on this other runway, the smaller runway. So we'll go ahead and taxi over to that direction. Looks like maybe we can use this taxiway F here. Oh, there's a car parked here. Don't know why. Sir, you can't park there. So I hope this is clear. We did not look both ways before crossing the street. And here is, oh, I can't see it. I can't get a good view of it at this point. But there is the commercial terminal on our left. We'll go ahead and pull to the right here. This is the taxiway. Let's go ahead and park in a place where we also cannot park. But here we go. We're going to park her down right here facing Iao Valley. You can see right in front of us. And there we go. It took us an hour. It was supposed to take 40 minutes. Thank you guys for watching. I do appreciate it. Let me know if you guys are interested in seeing more of this kind of thing, because I would love to share more bush trips. I would love to share more of those activities. There's a lot to do in Microsoft Flight Sim, and this is only scratching the surface. So that seemed like a great place to call it a video. However, I noticed reading over the flight log, they kind of skipped something. There's an extra trip here that's not really mentioned. And I see that it's only 13 minutes. And so that isn't quite enough time to go from Maui to the Big Island. And I noticed this is a teeny tiny airport that is our next destination. And I realized after seeing it right here, we are going to Hana. Which is amazing because it is, the road to Hana is an amazing trip, of course, on car. It's more of an experience that you want to take in person because of all of the hiking and all of the stops along the way that is available to you. However, this is going to be a beautiful flight, and it's going to be very short. And depending, so you can, I don't have my cursor, but you can see on Maui, which is the one next to the, immediately next to the Big Island on the right. It's the Hana is the very end of Maui there on the flight plan, and we are in Kahalui in that little harbor area. So let's see, it puts us back on the runway. Oh, put us on the big boy runway. We're not going to need, you can see it's a two-step flight plan, one takeoff, two land. We're really not going to need it. This is going to be a pretty simple flight, and I'm wondering how close we can get. Whoa, took off there on us. I'm wondering how close we're going to be able to get ourselves to the Cowpole Gap, because that would be something that would be really awesome to see, and I don't know that the flight plan on the way back necessarily will get us as close. So I want to see how close we are when we get to Hana. Because that would definitely be worth taking a look at. All right, so let's pull up. There we go. We have taken to the skies. Let's see where our flaps are at. Yep, bring them back up. All right, no landing gear. So it looks like we're also going to be flying over Paia, which is where I went to middle school. So let's make our way over there. Let's see, let's keep climbing this entire time. Because I feel like we should get ourselves over, instead of flying the exact flight log, let's get ourselves over the island a little bit. We've seen a lot of coastline. Let's explore Maui. That road below us eventually turns into the Hana Highway. You can see right over there getting into Paia. We'll actually drive over Paia, don't you worry, or fly to drive. We'll probably make our way flying over there, but we're right now headed up towards Makawao, which is an upcountry town, and it's a very beautiful place. You can see it's about a quarter of the way up the mountain, or the volcano rather. There's some cool things up there. It leads eventually up to Kula, which is a little bit more remote. But anyway, you can see all of this green below us would be sugar cane. So it's interesting to see in person, because it's really is an astounding amount of sugar cane. So let's get ourselves not quite up to Makawao, but close enough so that when we make our turn, we can see it over in our co-pilot window very nicely. All right, I think it's time to make our turn here. As we make this turn, let's make sure to get that nice, see if we can get that view. Oh, I guess it's not even quite there. It's still more out directly in front of us of Makawao, just over to the right. All right, but let's get ourselves back over down the mountain a little bit. Towards the coast. Let's see if we can find my middle school. I believe this road that these houses are on that we're looking at in front of us is taking us exactly to it. Go, picking back up with that road. So if what I'm seeing is correct, over my left wing, at the tip of it, there's a little bit of, right there, that beige, it should be a giant gymnasium in field. And that is where we did gym, where we did whatever we would need to do in a gym. Oh wait, no, that's an empty field. Maybe I'm not quite where I thought I was. Nope, we're flying over it right now. That's my middle school that we just flew over right now. It's right under us right now. This was my middle school. Beach day. Once a year we walk down to the beach. From up there all the way down in a huge line down to the beach. Here is Paia. The town of Paia. Really cool little place. Trendy. Great food. But anyway, let's cut our engines back up as we're about to fly over Mama's Fish House on our right. And this bay that we're actually over, oh, what is this called? Right here, this bay, and this little outlet that we're flying over right here, right now. And it's not, there's not houses here, unless this is not the right place I'm thinking of. What is this bay called that But it is the first place we would drive. We drove over it and pulled out and would look up and see the Milky Way, and it's the first place I ever was just like, wow, seeing the Milky Way. No, here it is, right here. Ho'okipa. This is Ho'okipa. Right here. So this little place right here, yeah, there's a little parking lot right there. In that little parking lot would be the first place that I ever saw the Milky Way. Really an incredible experience. And there's actually, it's a great surfing place and kite surfing. so people are always doing some crazy shit. And this is the North Shore. In the wintertime, November, over in this area that we're looking at, that's where those waves called Jaws take place, and they are on Maui, off the coast of Maui, and off that direction. The North Shore is where all of the, on all the islands, is where all the big surf is located, because that is how the trade winds blow. You know, they blow in across the ocean from north to south, like we had finally figured out. And as they do that, it brings, in the wintertime, it gets a little bit more, kicks up a notch. There we go. I don't know why. The intensity gets a little higher in the winter and in November. And that brings some heavier swells, some big waves, some big, juicy, ripe waves. And they're some of the biggest in the world, and they surf them. But anyway, you can see the runoff of Haleakala here. And there's no way that was Kaupo Gap. No, it can't be. So we're making our way to Hana right now. In real life, the road that we're over is going right next to the coast, and in and out, all of those dips and dives. There's plenty of hikes and waterfalls. Some of there's the hike, the seven waterfall wonders or something like that. That is named for it. But the seven pools is maybe another name for it. And there's these 7 huge, amazing, beautiful waterfalls that you walk or hike through and hike by, and it is, I think, one of the best experiences I've ever had in my life. When I die, that'll be one of the things that flash before my eyes that I get to witness. Probably some of the best nature I've ever experienced. So much bigger than myself, seeing the Milky Way and being in those bamboo forests, lost in waterfalls. So yeah, it looks like that is the Kaupo Gap we're looking at. There's no way we're this far around the island already. No, there's no way. There's no way it's a Kaupo Gap. It's on the wrong side. Because we're still seeing a lot of the whole other island behind us, the whole rest of the island. So there's no way that's a Kaupo Gap. And the further you make your way down the Hana Highway, the more remote everything gets, and the more uninhabitable everything gets as well. The Hana Highway is, of course, very pretty touristy. It gets a lot of flack for that. But let's see. Wait, is this the... Wait. Is our navlog not showing us landing there? I thought we were supposed to be landing, and this seems like... No. Okay, yeah. PHHN is what we're looking for. Yeah, that is not it. Not it. It is a liar of a landmark. So we're looking for PHHN. But anyway. So yeah, it gets more remote and more... See, that looks awful lot like the Kaupo Gap. But that's not where the Kaupo Gap is. But this might be our opportunity to talk about what the Kaupo Gap is. So the Kaupo Gap is a gap in Haleakala, the volcano that we are looking at, created by flowing lava. As the mountains were still forming, still malleable, Haleakala used to be a very, in its day, was a very active, very powerful volcano that spewed and erupted like crazy, and it created, all of the land that we see today on Maui. And during that time where things were still cooling and molten, and the Haleakala started to tone itself down a little bit, started to chill, bro. It was then going from erupting and spewing lava to then flowing and bubbling lava, and as it was still the land around it was still forming and still cooling, the hotter lava that was coming out of the volcano eventually slid down the Kaupo Gap, and it was so much hotter than the cooling lava that it changed the formation of the land and pushed itself all the way down into the ocean. And so from the top of the Capo Gap down into the ocean, you can see how the lava pushed itself into the land. That last bit of incredibly hot lava left from that huge eruption on a very cooling landmass of lava. So it's an incredible thing to look at and to stand in. And that is also, speaking, these all go back to cosmic relationships, that is also the first place I just watched a satellite just fly across the sky. It was incredible because it's, of course, you're seeing the Milky Way, and out there, there's nothing out there. You're no city lights, you're nothing. You're in the middle of the ocean at that point. You're on the far side of the island. So the Haleakala blocks any of the city light, and at that distance, what small city lights from Kahalui and Wailuku, whatever they create, are worn off by the time you get to the other side of the volcano. And so you can just see everything in the sky, and it looks like a painting. It's just incredible. I can't describe it like it really is. And just looking up at the sky, and then all of a sudden from the horizon you see this bright beam like a planet just completely consistently fly across the sky in this arc. It really is incredible. But anyway, I think we should be getting close to spotting our landing pretty soon. At Hana, you can see now the terrain is pretty different over here. As it is on the far side, it's a little bit more rolling, as you can see. It's not as jagged and sheer as the West Maui Mountains. Well, rolling is the wrong term, but I think you understand what it's just more smooth in comparison. So I think it might be time to consider slowing ourselves down a little bit. Because there it is, showing up on the GPS now. So it looks like to line ourselves up at the runway. There it is, PHHN. Let's get ourselves, I can't see it visually yet, but can line ourselves up looking at our map pretty easily. Let's see, I think once I can see it out of our window, I can cut to it. Also not run into a giant volcano. Imagine running into the volcano. I just didn't, it came out of nowhere. It's millions of years old. Alright, we're not going to be able to spot it first. It's time to make our corner. Let's bring some flaps. Oh, there we go. There it is. I see it. We're about to make that way too early. Let's cut our engine down. It's right on the water. There it is, just barely. A little bit more engine. A little bit more engine. We started really to fall out of the sky there. Alright, there we go. Bring it back a little bit. Not quite the perfect approach, but I mean, there is a volcano to contend with. But this will do just fine. Let's get ourselves out of the sky a little bit more and bring down another layer of flaps. There we go, that cuts our speed quickly. We're pretty high. But we are descending pretty rapidly, so this is no problem so far. It's a short runway, but again, we don't need very much runway for this little plane. Although we do need to descend pretty quickly. Alright, come on. Gotta get down, get down, get down. You're coming in very steep. This is going to be sloppy. get down, get down, get down, get down, get down. Stop, 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 stop. Come on, come on, come on, come on, come on. Ooh. Okay. Overshot the runway by just a hair.